All right, so we the people of the United States, not just we the people of the United States. So let me rephrase that. Of these states that are united. I had mentioned last week how in the Declaration of Independence, the word united is actually lowercase. Someone asked me about that, matter of fact, in an email, and I shot them an image of the original declaration so they could see it. And by the way, on the emails, for those of you who've been sending me email, thank you. This has been awesome because I've getting a great response from the audience, but there was a couple of people who were asking for legal advice. I'm not a lawyer. I appreciate that. Keep the legal advice to the lawyers. I'm a Constitution guy. But anyway, get back to this. So we the people of the United States, so that's who. Just like, you go to the doctor, right? You fill out a form and to give the doctor the authority to do something. And at the top, it says, I, patient's name, and you write your name. And then it's authorized to the doctor, ear, nose, and throat. And that keeps the doctor from like checking your spleen. You didn't put down in that note that he could check your spleen. You put down in there that he's an eye, nose, and throat or whatever. But that's kind of what this preamble is, an introduction. We the people, I the patient, we the people, in order to, okay, they're getting ready to do something. They're telling you what they want to do with this. In order to, they're telling you right there, we're going to accomplish something here. So we the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, we talked about that last week. The old Union, Articles of Confederation, that's the first Constitution, and it was in 1777, 2 years after that smallpox epidemic hit. Yeah, I love that shirt, by the way. People, when they ask me about what's going on, I bring up the smallpox epidemic and remind me later after we're done with this We the People stuff. I want to talk about it for sure. But so we the people, in order to form a more perfect union. Now, that's kind of weird language. More perfect? How do you make something more perfect? That's like making someone more pregnant, right? If you're pregnant, you're pregnant. If you're perfect, you're perfect. So how could it be more perfect? The point is they believed it was perfect with the previous, with the Articles of Confederation. The states had all the authorities. The central government, all it could do is declare war and wage war, and that was it. And it worked out well. The problem was with Shays' Rebellion, they figured out was too weak. What they had was a lamb for a government. What they needed was a lion. But the problem with lions is lions eat you. So you create a lion, but you put shackles on it. You put it in a cage. Constitution is the shackles in the cage. Okay? So you're creating a lion, bigger government. And that way, and there was anti-federalists going, whoa, we just fought big government in the American Revolution. We don't want big government. And there was big arguments over it. This is crazy. Why do you want to do this? It says we've got to. If we're going to be a country, if our states are going to be a union, we're going to be a country, we need a government that does the country stuff. Trade with other countries, common defense, maritime law, border security, coastal security, hence originally became the Coast Guard, to run the lighthouses and so on and so forth. We need a government that handles the country stuff so that the states can worry about the state stuff. So we're going to create this new government, and it'll make it a more perfect union. It'll make it better than it was before because the states will be able to do their thing, but yet not worry about the union because this federal government will handle the stuff that'll protect, preserve, and promote the union. Okay? Make sense? Okay. Then the next one is ensure domestic tranquility. I'm sorry. God, I'm jumping. Establish justice. The word establish. Scott, what does the word establish mean?
To create or
to create something.
Or
all right. Well, if it's being created, did it exist before?
No.
Okay. Did we have justice in the United States prior to the Constitution?
To some degree, I would say yes, but
yeah. So if we're establishing justice, but we had justice, we got to figure out what they're trying to say here. All right. Well, who had the justice departments? Who had legal courts and and all that?
Prior to
the British Empire and the colonies, the states, right? But we didn't have a centralized justice system. So what this is saying is we're going to establish a justice system that's for the whole union, not just the individual states. That's what it's saying. Okay. our federal court system. It's funny because there were actually delegates during the Constitutional Convention that argued against having a federal court system. Because, see, in Britain, the court system, and they were just a rubber stamp for the king. That's the reason why English common law was considered to be living and breathing. You ever heard someone say that we have a living and breathing constitution? We're not supposed to. What is living and breathing was English common law, because English common law changed at the whim of the king. The king says, you know what? I don't like that anymore. Let's do it this way. So the courts would then have to rule differently to change it. And the common law would change based on the judicial rulings and judicial opinion and the whims of society and the whims of the king. Okay? And the founding fathers are like, we don't want that garbage. Because if we got a bunch of judges and a leader saying, hey, you know what, I'm going to change a law to mean what I want it to mean. That doesn't work. So we're going to do something different than English common law. We're going to write it down. We're going to write it down in a contract, a social contract called a constitution, so that it's not living and breathing, so that it's set. Black letter of the law, as some of your past legal scholars would say. Okay? So we have this constitution. And the problem is, though, in this country, the states argued like cats and dogs. While they wanted a constitution, they were fighting over all kinds of stuff. No problem. In the Constitution, we're going to put something that's going to ensure domestic tranquility, to help with the fighting. We're going to let the federal government act as a mediator between the states when they're fighting. Do you have siblings, Scott?
I do. 4 sisters.
4? Oh man, 4 sisters. How close are you? Fairly close to them in age?
Yeah, we're pretty close, like nearly a year apart, all of us except for the last one.
While you guys were little kids, did you fight like cats and dogs?
Well, imagine, with my mother in the house, I was a minority in a sorority. What do you think was going to happen? I was overruled every time.
My wife is the oldest of 7 girls. I have given her father my condolences a number of times.
He must be a beast.
Yeah, the dude's one of my heroes, seriously. But anyway, okay, well, you fought with your siblings. Why? Did you not love them? No, you love them, right?
Yeah, of course.
But, you guys had some common interests, and you battled over turf, maybe. Hey, that's my part of the bedroom. I don't know, stuff like that. My sister and I and my brother and I, we fought like cats and dogs, too. I'm 4.5 years older than my sister, though. I'm 9 years older than my brother, so it was mainly my sister. And at one point in our when I was growing up, my mom was like combing my hair or something like that, and suddenly she calls my dad over and says, hey, Jerry, come here, look at this. Doug's got bald spots. Well, after figuring it out, the reason I had bald spots is my sister was yanking so much hair out of my head when we fought. It was literally leaving bald spots on my head. How crazy is that, right? Did I love her? Yeah, of course I did. Did we fight? You darn tootin'. Don't worry, I got her back. I had Bucky Beaver teeth, man. I jammed those suckers in her forehead. She wound up with stitches, man. That's the way it was, right? But it wasn't because I didn't love her. I guarantee you, when my sister had bullies picking on her, hey, big brother, I need help. And I was there to clobber the bully. That was, 4 years younger than me. Okay, well, the same thing with the states. The states fought like cats and dogs. They fought over everything. They were like siblings. They loved each other. They appreciated the union, but they had their own interests. And they fought like cats and dogs. And so to ensure domestic tranquility was a big deal, not only over the debate between the states, but also stuff like Shays' Rebellion, where the Revolutionary War veterans were upset. They were given paper money to pay their debts by the government that was under the Articles of Confederation, and that paper money was worthless to the creditors. Creditors like, we're not going to take that garbage. Give me some gold, give me some silver, maybe Continentals. We're not going to take that worthless paper. So you got the veterans of the Revolutionary War upset, so they rebel. They're blocking the steps of the courthouse. Once again, we need domestic tranquility. So this federal government is being created because during Shays' Rebellion, the government under the Articles of Confederation couldn't do the job. If you remember me telling the story, it wound up being the merchants from Boston sending in a mercenary force, firing at our, shooting at our veterans. That was not a good situation. So the federal government, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, and provide for the common defense. The common defense. See, the states they had state militias. They could individually protect themselves. Revolutionary War, though, in the beginning, if you know history, here's what you notice. Revolutionary War, the approach to it was Massachusetts' problem. Everything was happening in Massachusetts. And the other colonies are watching Massachusetts. Wow, Massachusetts got a real problem there. Didn't take them long to realize that once the British were done with Massachusetts,
here it comes.
It's going to everybody else too. And Massachusetts couldn't fight it on their own anyway. They needed help. The country is stronger as a union. And so as a country, they needed something that has common defense to work together. So the federal government's job is common defense. The state's individual defense. The federal government, common defense. So common defense, Army, Navy, and whatever else you want to add to that, Marine Corps and so forth. Individuals' defense, the states have their militias. I don't want to get too much into militias yet. We'll get into that more when we get to the Second Amendment. But you've got state militias. 24 states still have state militias. That's not the National Guard. It's a separate, voluntary, does not take pay, salary militia.